Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm. We're into mid-autumn now, almost halfway through our harvest season, and as expected we have had a change of growth state overnight. So our corn and our soybean are now completely grown and ready to be harvested. So before we get too far into our harvest, what we're going to do is head over to that little strip of corn that we left over on field 5. We're going to do our little comparison test over there and see exactly how much we get on a single pass. So we've got a definitive, this is how much we'll get on final stage corn, this is how much we'll get on harvestable corn when it comes to chaffing. And then we'll get the last little patch of that field done. We'll shove that in the bunker. The truck is already ready and waiting for us on the edge of field 5. And once we've done that, we'll then return to the farm. We'll harvest our barley on field 45 and bale that so that we can sell some of those bales, and the rest we will keep as straw for our cows for the winter and into beginning and middle of next year. And then we will look at getting started on either the corn or the soybean. I'm not quite sure which way round I want to go on that. What I'm also doing at the moment is I am currently cultivating away with a worker on fields 30 and 35, and what I've actually decided to do is join those two fields together and make one big field. It just seems silly to keep them as two separate fields, seeing as we're putting the same crop on there every time. So it makes sense for those to be just one field. So we've got those two kind of ploughed together just down the middle, and seeing as next year is our final year on that, we don't need to worry about ploughing the whole field. It'll still be in, ploughed state for next year's planting. Obviously if we were to stay for a 4th year, then we would have an issue, but for 3 years we'll be fine. And then after that, we'll also, actually, on top of that, as I should say, we are also rolling away on grass field 44, and obviously we rolled that last night, but of course we had that transitional change in growth, so that is now ready for another stage of rolling, and the worker is busy rolling away on that. So that looks to be about as full a header as we can get in terms of position. Now, last time out, we got around about 11,000. Let me just pull up the exact total. I have it written down. We pulled 11,968 litres off a single pass. Let's see what we get with fully grown corn. See if we get more, less, or about the same. I've actually been looking forward to this, this moment here, just to get this test complete. Place your bets now. That's about halfway. Are we about halfway down the field? It's pretty close. I think it's going to be pretty similar. I don't think there's going to be that much difference. It's 8,000 litres. 9,000. 10. We might get more actually. Possibly. 11. 12. Well, look at that. 12,960 litres. That is almost exactly 1,000 litres more. We got 11,968 last time. Now we have 12,960. So just on that one pass, we actually made an extra 1,000 litres of chaff. So that has, I think, pretty much definitively answered the question, or disproved the the theory that you get more chaff on corn that's in its final stage of growth rather than fully harvestable like this. We match the header pretty much width for width, and we end up with 1,000 litres more. Now, if we take into account the possibility that maybe slightly more went into the header, maybe an extra row went into the header compared to the last time, you could take 1,000 off and you're talking exactly the same. So there's no benefit in terms of volume in chaffing early, but obviously the big benefit of chaffing early is time. When you have a busy harvest schedule like we do, the last thing you want is to have all of your corn chaffing overlapping with your grain harvesting at the same time. So there's a kind of a little bit of a trade-off. There's the potential for more if you wait, but time constraints may make that actually quite tricky. So I'm surprised by that. I honestly am. I thought it would perhaps be roughly the same, and we ended up, as I say, on that single pass making 1,000 more. So yeah, a very big difference indeed. The only true way, I suppose, to do a completely autonomous test would be to grow a field of corn, to do a full chaff harvest at final growth stage on a field like this, and then not save, but write down the total, and then reload the save file, accelerate time until the same field then grows to its final stage, and then harvest all of the field for chaff. At that point, write down that total, compare that way. Obviously, a single pass, there's wiggle room in there, but we definitively proved that you do not, on a single pass, at the very least, get more from from final stage growth as opposed to full harvest state. That much we can definitely prove. The only kind of question now is, can you actually get more if you get it in final stage, or is it going to work out about the same? That's the only uncertainty, the only thing that we can't completely 100% say. So let's park this here for a second. Get the truck lined up so we can just transport this bit of chaff over to the BGA. We'll get that shoved in there. Oops, a little bit too close. There we go. And of course, if we can get our grass, if we can get our crop harvesting done over the next couple of days, which we probably won't, but if we can get it done, mostly done by the end of tomorrow, which I think basically we can get by today. I think we can get the straw work done, and probably all of the barley will definitely be brought in. We can get most of the straw work, if not all of the straw work, done. We can probably make a start on the corn as well, possibly even complete the corn, and then that'll leave us 3 days left in the season to work on the soybean. Now we have 4 soybean fields, so a lot of soybean, and also a couple of those fields are particularly big. Our biggest fields that we own, 2 of those are of the 2 biggest fields we own, they're both soybean, so a lot of running up and down on those fields is going to be required. But I feel confident that we're going to have time to do another grass harvest at the end of autumn. Maybe not both fields, maybe not 44 and 24, but at least one of those 2 fields I feel confident that we can do another harvest and have another load of chaff delivered here to the BGA. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I've heard that the full total that you can get in one of these bunkers is around 4 million litres. I would estimate we're pretty close to sort of 1.6 million litres here, maybe a little over 1.6. Actually, no, we added a bit more last time, didn't we? Let's double check it. Let's see exactly how much is in there right now. There we go, help window. Actually we've got a lot more than I thought in here. 2.149 million, so 2.15 million litres effectively in here at the moment. And this obviously needs to be squashed and condensed. You can see it's still in those sort of tip piles. So we squash this all the way to the back like we have done there, get it all pushed and condensed and compacted. We're probably about halfway down the bunker, I would say, maybe a little bit over half. So definitely space for a lot more chaff to go in here yet. I reckon we can probably add in maybe another 500,000 litres in total before we run out of time, because obviously we still need to get that condensed, compacted, and squashed down, ready for actually selling it during the winter. So yeah, very interesting to see how we end up in terms of our chaff totals. But I'm going to head back to the farm. We're going to continue sort of getting things prepped. I'm going to try and maybe even get a bit of planting started today, get some cover crops on our cultivated fields, get some oilseed radish planted just to help with stage 1 of fertilising for next year. And then as soon as everything dries out, because you can see we do still have damp crop, the damp crop symbol in the top right corner at the moment. As soon as that dries out, we will start harvesting and baling field 45 and the barley. Okay, so that's the forage harvester done with for a while at the very least. So we'll leave that there for now. You can see there is our Magnum cultivating away on our new joined field of 30-35. Let's take a look at our overlay here. So you can see there's the little gap that we ploughed just to link the two fields together. And then just a slight bit of resculpting on this edge here, just to make the join a bit, a bit smoother along there. And then essentially everything else is exactly the same. So just cultivating this out at the moment. We have these fields here that are cultivated and ready to go. For some reason, my worker did tag a little bit of this grass field here, and we don't own that field, so we're potentially in a little bit of hot water with the farmer who owns field 42. As I don't think we'll be able to actually repair that without without having ownership of the field. So we may possibly have to buy this field as some form of compensation, and then use it for whatever we want to use it for. These are our fields that are ready, as you can see. So 45 here has barley on it, and that's what we're getting ready to harvest. 48 and 51 have corn, and then 49, 50, 53 and 54, they are our soybean fields. So I'm going to make my way up the hill. My combine is already sort of sat ready and waiting at the edge of the field for me, as is the Optum with the Optum is there with the auger wagon as well, the chaser bin. So we'll get those sort of up and running along here. We'll start doing a sort of a headland around the field as we usually do, and then we'll start running up and down so we can bale it. Oh, actually, no, we can't yet, can we? It hasn't dried out yet. And our worker seems to have stopped over here on the field, rolling out the grass. Where is he? Is he at this end? Yes. Again, I put in a little bit of a headland in places and some sort of border lines to make sure that he was running straight, and then kind of sent him on his way. So he's finished the first section of this field, as is always the case. We have a little bit here that we're going to need to roll ourselves manually just in front of the telegraph poles. That one just there, and then that one just there. There'll be a small gap there as well. Yeah, there it is. So we'll just tag those little patches there. Okay, excellent stuff. And now we can get underway sort of rolling out the second half of this field. So I'll tell you what, while we're still waiting for everything to dry out, what we'll do is we'll go deal with the orchard. That is something that definitely needs to be done, and that'll be the final time this year that we do deal with the orchard, the final time that we add manure and water the trees. After that, it'll be getting perhaps a little bit too cold for us to get really good fruit, so we'll kind of retire the orchard we'll put it into hibernation over the winter. Right, let's go get our 1455. So we need to manually muck out the cows. We've brought our trailer along so that we can load into that, and we also need to collect the manure from the manure pit as well. So I think the easiest way for us to do this is actually going to be to park the trailer inside the cow paddock. And then sort of try and squeeze our way out the other side. I need that open, don't I? There we go. close it before I've driven through there. It's not going to help me out at all. It kind of defeats the whole point of opening it in the first place. There we go, so now we'll close that. Because we're going to try and go out the other side. Let's park the trailer over here. Trying to avoid running over any of our livestock. It's really hard to move around and avoid the animals at the same time. Good thing that we can't actually hurt them. Right, so this is where it gets really kind of tricky with camera angles as well. So let's try and scoop out as much of this manure as we possibly can, as quickly as we can, and then we'll fill up the trailer with whatever space is left using the manure we took out last time. We'll take that over to the orchard and we'll spread that on the trees. We should have brought the weight now. We'll just have to make do like this, I think. So I'll keep doing this. And I'll catch up to you once we're back at the orchard. I've just finished mucking out the shed, and I was expecting to have a little bit of space left in the trailer and then need to go and kind of top it up using the stuff we'd taken out the other day. Of course, forgetting that as soon as you get out of summer, manure production starts to ramp up quite a bit, you know, as you move into autumn, and then really kicks into high gear for winter as the cows spend more and more time inside the shed than they do outside. And so our 23,000 litre trailer, which I thought would have some space left over, is completely full, and we have just over 2,000 litres in the bucket itself as well, and that's the shed empty. I haven't even touched the 10,000 or so litres that's still around the corner back at the farm. So this should hopefully be enough to get everything kind of topped up, but if it's not, then we can always go back, and we've got another 10,000 or so litres on hand at the farm that we can collect, which will hopefully then enable us to actually get our orchard completely manured. So this trailer I thought would be great for unloading in here, but it actually tips quite high, and there's no tip angle adjust in here as well, which makes it a little bit tricky actually trying to unload manure into there. So I'm going to park that just there for now. Actually no, I'm going to tip on the ground here. We'll tip in the porchway, and then whatever's left over we can then shove into the shed behind. But I get a feeling we'll be clearing all of this here off the ground, and then we'll be adding to that. We'll be dipping into the stock that we have in the shed behind us as well. So just going to park the trailer back in its little bay for now. I've got to be careful about that invisible post that's there, which is why I took that wide sweeping kind of turn in. Drop the trailer there. Let's get the weight hooked up for some stability, because I was lurching around quite a bit inside the cow shed, and more specifically in the pasture, trying to load into the trailer when I had to raise the bucket up. Let's just get the bucket topped up a bit more. There we go. Time for us to start manuring the trees. And there we go, that is the orchard manured. So now we need to water each of these trees. That shouldn't take very long at all. And hopefully we'll be able to start the harvest in a few minutes once the watering is done. Let's see what happens at 10 o'clock. No, still too damp. So it looks like 11 o'clock is the earliest that we're going to be able to start the harvest. That's a little disappointing. You can see there we have a little bit of manure left in here, but we did use up all of the stuff we brought over and the vast majority of everything that we had here in storage as well. So, just going to drop off the front loader setup. So, bucket first, then the arms. And then, last but not least, the weight. Now we need the water trailer. Do we have anything left in here? Oh, it's full. I must have filled it before I left last time. So, nice and simple now. We just need to drive through all of our trees. This will take 3 trips in total. We have 48 trees, so that's 8,000 litres, 500 litres a go, so that's 24,000 litres of water needed. 8,000 litres per trailer, so that's 3 full trailers worth, and then the trees are done. So I'll whiz through here and get the rest of these done, and then we'll head back to the farm and see what else we can get started. So we're getting close to 11 o'clock, chance for another sort of transition, and I'm looking at the crops and we still have 22% moisture, so looking at that, I think it's going to be midday at the earliest before we can actually start start harvesting. That's a bit of a blow. I was hoping to get started about now, really. So we're going to have to kind of find something else to get done while we're waiting. Now, my worker just popped up saying he's blocked. I think that is my Magnum that's cultivating away on 30-35. We'll get that field finished, and then I think what we'll do is we'll break out the seeder. We'll start planting those cover crops, getting those in the ground. Orchard is taken care of now. That's up and running. So we should see some money tick in a second. There we go. A nice little bit of extra cash. And I do need to order the new truck for the end of autumn, ready for when we can start selling our crops off as well. Yeah, there's the Magnum. Look, he's blocked by the forage harvester. So let's take manual control. Get all this in a single pass. I don't think I can. Or I don't know, actually, might be able to. Ooh, it's tight. It's so tight that a slight twitch is probably going to cost me a problem. So I'm going to hire a worker to just drive in a straight line so that I can definitely get both sides of this. It's looking a bit iffy just here, perhaps. Let me take a look at our coverage. No, it is clearing it all off, so that's good. So yeah, I mean, this is how long this field is now. It's a really big, long field. This means we'll have to change up what we plant on here next year. I think I might put canola on this field next year. Again, we'll be moving our canola around from fields to field so we don't damage the crop or damage the soil too much by putting in quite a powerful crop in the same soil every year. So this will become one of our canola fields. We might move, I'm not sure what I'll do on that. I might move the corn over onto those 2 fields this time for next year. We'll see. I'll kind of plan all that out over winter. There we go. That is the new super field done and finished. Just have to catch that little bit on the edge, well, on both sides there. There we go. Let's do that bit. Catch this little bit here. Let's get this folded up. There we go. So we'll get this pushed aside. We'll start the seeding process. We'll use the Magnum again, because we're going to be using the Optum for the harvesting. So we'll do our manual borders. We'll get the worker running, and we have, let's see, what fields can we plant? Field 30, 35, 34, 32, 33 and 43. They're all cultivated and ready to go, so we can put cover crops on all of those. The only one of our sort of original fields that hasn't been done yet is 45, and that's because we haven't even harvested that yet. So I'm going to leave that just there. We'll sort all of the equipment out later. Let's go grab the seeder. Actually, let's get some wides put on this. Some twins. There we go. So I'll get the lads to put the twins on that, and I'll use this time to sort of ferry my equipment through the wash and fold up station. And what I'll also do is I'll probably run the Puma out to fields 5 and 6 and get those cultivated with the small Sapphire cultivator, while the lads are putting twins onto the Magnum. So the wheels are fixed. The Puma is now cultivating away on field 6 for us. We're going to go grab the seeder from the storage shed around the corner, and we're going to have to construct a new shed over the winter to store our equipment. It's just a question of now finding the right spot for that. So I'm thinking of setting up a shed somewhere for the combines. So I'm trying to think where is going to be a really good place that's kind of central to our farm. And I think field 42, the field we accidentally cultivated, might actually be the ideal spot. If we buy field 42, we can kind of place our our combine shed in a position that's going to allow us to store those out of the way and not take up all the space they're taking up around here. So it's not just the combines, but it's the 4 headers and the trailers that go with those headers. You know, they eat up a lot of space inside here. You can see here I've got one of the corn headers just in here at the moment, out of the way, to protect it from the elements, because I've got nowhere else to put it. So I'm having to kind of store stuff in here and just jam it in overnight, and that's going to be problematic as we start packing up the harvesting equipment again over the winter. So I think a shed over on field 42, designed purely to house the 2 combines and the 4 headers, is the way we need to go. So we'll make some inquiries about acquiring that piece of land, and then get a construction crew out to build that shed for us over the winter, so we've got somewhere to store, or even before winter sets in, so that we've got somewhere to actually store our equipment when the bad weather sets in and we start closing the farm down over the winter months. So let's change our seed type. There we go. Drop the seeder down. Start putting in our cover crop. And I'm hoping that this will grow by the end of the end of autumn, so that we can cultivate it, and then once we've sold our silage over winter, sort of towards the end of winter, beginning of spring, we can slurry our fields with digestate, get those fertilised to stage 2, get them planted again in spring, and then we'll only need to spray them once for the following year to get them fully fertilised. Right, I'm going to send our worker off like this. We'll have to come and tidy the field up, but as you can see, it's 12 o'clock. The damp crop symbol has gone, which means we are able to start the harvest. So I'm going to head my way up to the top of the hill, jump in the combine, and we'll start getting in that barley. Okay, we are underway. I'm going to do a headland just with chopping straw like this around the edge of the field to create our border. We're going to go run up and down this section here, and this is where we'll be primarily doing our baling, is in this section here. We may do a bit on the other side as well, but if we do, that'll be stuff that we'll be taking to sell. I'm not sure how many bales we're going to have available actually. Still got more silage bales than I thought I would at this time, this point of the year, so we may have to shred a few more of our silage bales. We have used up a few of our hay bales already, but we have more silage than I thought, so we could use a few up to mix up some more TMR as well, and sort of store that in our little TMR shed near the cows. So we have a few options if we do hit the bale limit really early. Not really sure how many bales we'll have available within that limit before we hit it when it comes to making our straw bales, so we'll just have to kind of play that one by ear, I suppose. But yeah, the general plan, I don't think we're going to get much in the way of corn done at all today now. I mean, given that it's midday, it's going to take us a few hours to get this harvested, and once it's harvested, it's going to take us a while to get it all sort of baled as well. So I'm only going to run the one combine on this field simply because of the way it's shaped. I think it's going to be awkward for us to actually work with more than one combine, so we're just going to run the one, and that way I can try and do some baling and kind of then flip back and jump into the Optum and run, or grab the chaser and unload the combine. We're going to be kind of flitting between the two different jobs and trying maximising our sort of time that way. So I'm going to chop some straw, swath some straw down here, and anything that we make on this side of the trees is definitely stuff that's going to be sold off. So we'll try and bale this stuff first if we can, so we can take them straight down to the sell point. Just simply because, if we can bale that section of the field last, then it's less distance to collect and then take them back to the farm to actually store in the shed. And I'm not really sure how many bales I'm going to need. We're going to need a fair few. We're going to use up quite a bit over winter. The spring will probably use a fair few as well, but by the time we hit summer, manure production is going to slow right down again, so we're going to use up a lot less straw. And I don't use straw in my TMR mix, so I don't have to worry about that. It's really just for bedding. That's it. So yeah, we'll see how things shake out. Right, I think I'm going to be full before I even get to do my baseline along here. It's kind of impressive. There we go. So let's get in position. I'm going to shred along here again, but I'm going to need to bring the Optum over and do an unload. So let's bring that over. I knew we would fill up quickly on this field, but I don't think we fill up that quickly. That's kind of kind of impressive, and it also gives you an inherent idea of just how problematic having wheat or barley on our new 30-35 field would be next year. I don't know if we'd even make a single pass before we filled the combine. So running two combines would be incredibly problematic, on that field with a very high yield grain like wheat or barley. That's another reason why putting canola on there will help, because it'll be much easier to run the combine on that field there like that. Put the engine back on. No. Oh. What has happened here? There we go. I think our combine's developing a fault. We might have to put this one in the workshop. And just run the other one. It's kind of handy that we have two. If this one's going to suddenly go down. Don't give me another big breakdown problem like this again. It was bad enough when we lost the Magnum. Now we can afford to lose the Magnum because we have the Optum on the farm, but I can't lose another combine or one of my combines in the middle of harvest season. That would be catastrophic. It does worry me that it wouldn't start for a moment there. I think it may well be in a position of damage limitation. I will run this a bit longer and see what happens to it. And it cuts out again, we're going to take it straight to the workshop, stick it in there for the for the rest of the day. Try and make sure that we can get it fixed. We'll be on the blower with Case headquarters. We'll probably have to get a couple of guys from Manning's to come down and help us out and fix things as well if it is damaged. But we'll keep an eye on that. So, like I say, the last thing I need is one of my combines to suddenly go down in the middle of a harvest. I've decided to play it safe rather than risk a potential fault developing into something even more catastrophic. I'm gonna send this into the workshop and get the lads to give it a once over. I've called Sam at Manning's. He's going to send one of his case engineers down as well to have a look at it and kind of give it a once over and help out, coordinating any repair work that might need to be done. And we'll switch out this combine for the other one. So we have, the other one just kind of standing by on the edge of the field. We'll put this one into service for the rest of the day, and we'll use the brand new one. This is obviously our older one. You see it's got 8.5 hours on it at the moment, so not a huge amount of time on it, but yeah, for some reason it just, I'm concerned that it kept cutting out on me over there. So before that becomes a serious problem, I'd like to get that sort of taken care of. And in a way, it's kind of a good thing that we got ourselves a second combine, because now we don't have any downtime. Now we just kind of, we have a little bit of downtime as we swap them out, but we don't have any substantial downtime where we lose a combine for an entire day or more while we try and source a replacement from somewhere. Now we actually have another one on hand. So I'll leave that there with the lads. They'll start looking over that and trying to see what the problem is, and we'll run our brand new combine here. Just 2.5 hours on this one, and we'll get this one to do our harvest on field 30, on field 45 for us instead. So that section there is done. I've now kind of split across to work on this section, get this sort of road up and down, and then we'll go across this section here and have some rows of straw going across the field that way, like that. And I've just heard from the lads in the workshop, major issue averted. I left the combines out overnight because I was expecting to be running them again this morning, and I figured it's a lot of hassle to put them away only to break them all out again the following morning, so I left them out overnight. Turns out a field mouse got into the into the engine bay, or got into the the wiring around the engine bay, and chewed through some of the cables in there. So it's not a major fault, it's just some frayed wiring that needs to be replaced. Luckily, Sam does have the relevant parts at the at Manning's, so those are going to be brought back over to the farm a little bit later for us, and we'll get a new wiring bloom installed. So that means the combine's going to be out of action for the rest of the day, but we're not going to need it today. We need it tomorrow, and we will have it back up and running tomorrow. So, whew, problem averted there, but I was seriously worried that might have developed into a major fault, just like we had with our Magnum, and it turns out it's just a chewed through cable, so we should be fine. Making more good progress on this field here, as you can see. It's now around about 4:30 in the afternoon. We're working on this section here, trying to put that baseline in just there to clear that section out, so we've got space to turn as we get closer to the fence. And then it's that little across the gap section just over there. So yeah, we're making some decent progress, as you can see. Still a fair bit to go on this field, but not a massively unassailable task. It'll take another couple of hours at least to get this field finished with just a single combine, but we will get it done. I have almost finished seeding. I'm just actually in the process of tidying up the edges of field 30 and 35, and so I'll be about to move that seeder over to field 34, and then from there onto 32, 33, and get some OSR planted in those. If we get time, I will also plant some OSR on field 43 as well, but I've just got this little sort of patch here to kind of finish off, and then this field itself is done. I've already done all the edges around the other bits there, so it's just this little wonky bit just here. And our cultivator has just finished on field 5 as well, so fields 5 and 6 are now both done. They're both cultivated, so I could even take the seeder up and do some planting up there as well, but I think I'll leave that till tomorrow. That's going to be a bit more of a time-consuming job to go all the way up there for a little bit of planting, so we'll probably end up doing that tomorrow at some point. So let's just get these last little bits here squirreled away. There we go. I've had to do some weird manual lines to make sure that I've been able to get everything covered. But there we go, that field is done, so I need to put a manual headland in. And what I'll do is I'll do the same as I did with the cultivating, because this is a wide seeder. We'll hopefully get it so he'll just go across onto both fields at the same time. So I need to do it, whoops, a bit of a slide there as we caught a bit of a bump in the field. We'll do a manual headland all the way up this side of the field and the next one as well, and we'll do the same coming down on the other side. Again, this is because on this particular field here we've obviously got the issue with the dirt path, which will stop the seeder from going all the way to the very edge of the field, so we need this headland in place, and we'll then just carry that across onto the next field. We'll come back up the other side, and then we'll run along the bottom and just run widthways across the field like that, and then hopefully when he gets to the gap, as the cultivator did, he should carry across onto the next field automatically, and we can leave this guy to just run and plant all this stuff here while we're baling and selling off those straw bales. Time for us to start the baling process. Start making these straw bales. So this first batch, because we're not going to be able to bale the whole field, that's for certain. The first batch is obviously going to go straight to the barn, get us some extra cash. Always nice to get some extra cash. It's never something you want to turn down, is it? But yeah, we'll make a little bit of extra money by baling up some of this straw to sell, and then whatever we get left with is, you know, what we'll store. So you can see we've got our combine sort of running across that middle section just there at the moment. We're gonna have to keep alternating between the Puma and the Optum here, so I can keep baling and keep the combine running. But yeah, time for us to really sort of try and crank it up and knock this field out. The worker is busy going away on field 34, as you can see, in the Magnum, planting away, and as I say, the hope is that he'll automatically carry over onto 32 and 33 as well. And then after that, if we have time, we'll also get him set up on field 43. I think there'll be time. It's going to be probably into the dark hours of the evening again to get everything done today. We're not going to be able to get started on the next harvest, you know, on the corn. That's going to have to wait now until tomorrow, as is probably doing some grass work as well. I was hoping we could maybe get some grass work done tomorrow. That may possibly get pushed. I may just go straight on to doing some soybean, save the grass work for when it rains, so I can got something to do when it rains. I think that's probably what we'll do. So we'll do the corn tomorrow, and then make a start on the soybean, because I think we'll have time. You know, it is going to be another dry day tomorrow, and then we'll finish off the soybean in the dry parts of the last 2 days and do the grass work to finish off the bunker at the BGA on the rainy bits of the last 2 days. So I'll keep churning out these bales and keeping the combine running, and I'll catch up with you in a little while. So this is the last little patch here on this field. I'm going to do a straight line across the bottom here, and then that tiny little corner piece, we'll just chop that straw. There's no point messing around trying to get an extra little tiny bit into the of straw available onto the field. So we'll just row up just here. There we go. Oh, I just rolled onto. Oh, I'm stuck on a bale. Oh, this could be interesting. Ugh. I am very stuck on a bale. There we go. So let's chop this bit. And there we go. That is that little corner piece just there. That is it. That is the end of the barley. It's the end of the cereals, so we just have corn and soybean left to do on our harvesting now. I'm actually surprised how quickly we've been able to get through the first half of the harvest. I mean, we could possibly have done this field yesterday, but I wouldn't have been able to take my time baling it and taking some off to sell and taking some off to store. So, you know, had the baling not been an issue, we could have knocked this field out yesterday, but and then started on the corn today, which would have meant we would have had plenty of time. We've actually been quite lucky with the weather, I have to say. You know, I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was, and the rain has been quite fortuitous in that it fell early on one morning and very late the following day, and we have plenty of time in between to get our harvesting done. And now we've got 2 days with no rain at all, so who knows what's going to happen with the rain on day 5. That could be early morning rain, that could be late night rain. I'm hoping it's going to be late night rain so that it dries out in the morning of day 6, and we've got all of day 5, well, most of day 5, and then half of day 6 where we can just run the combines and bring in all the rest of the soybean. We'll see how it all shakes out. But we are done and dusted with our combines for today, so I'll park this up just here. We'll get this sort of folded up and get the header dropped off a little bit later. We'll move it out of the way for now, and we'll get back to our baling. Well, one last thing before we get concentrating on the baling is to obviously find out what our final tally is for barley this year. So let's have a look. We are 265,000 litres, 266, 267, 269,465. That's a lot of barley. That is going to be multiple trips. We're going to have to sell that over 2 days, because otherwise we're going to completely crash the market. So, I can't remember where I was storing this now. I think I was storing it inside the building there. So, we'll drop that off. We'll grab the bale trailer from around the corner. Again, I'm going to have to really tidy the yard up again at the end of the day, as we always do. There we go. So let's get back to making bales and getting ready to sell bales. Well, there we go. We've just hit the bale limit. I'm amazed, actually. I managed to get quite as many on the field as I have. So you can see, I kind of went around and collected up all the ones that we had to start with, which is less than a full trailer. And that's where we are now. You know, plenty of bales on the field. So, how many am I going to need? I think I'm going to need 2 trailers worth. So we'll sell this first trailer. I can get up the hill. Oh, I seem to have broken my... there we go. Somehow I'd pressed the wrong button and put it in transport position, not loading position. There we go. Right, let's try and get up the hill if we can with the weight of the bales on the trailer. This is a 313 horsepower tractor as well. Really struggling with 20 bales on the back. It is quite a steep hill, to be fair. So, we'll sell this trailer here. Then we'll come back and we'll sell a second trailer. And then whatever's left, that's what we'll keep, I think. Just to be on the safe side. I can always sell off some of these extra bales if necessary. So, that was close. It looked like it was going to lean for a bit there. So let's make our way over to the barn, sell these, come back, grab another trailer, sell those, and then we'll be pretty much keeping whatever's left. So we sold off 2 full trailers of bales and got around about 21,000 for them. And now, everything here, I imagine, whatever's left here is what we're going to keep, unless, maybe, I'll probably keep maybe, I don't know, maybe 30, 35 bales or something, I don't know. But I'll bale all this up, I'll keep a good number of bales for next year. Probably 2 trailers worth, so the full 48 if I can. And then, beyond that, I might sell off a couple more bales. I'm not sure. It also depends if we hit the bale limit before I can get all of this rode up as well, which is a possibility. So, yeah, I'm going to carry on working away on this. As you can see on the map, my worker did jump the gap and is just finishing up on 32, 33. It's getting a bit late, so I won't get him working on field 43. We'll do that tomorrow instead. But that's pretty much it for the end of another day. All that needs to be done is for this straw to be baled. I could leave it overnight, but I just don't want to take the risk, even though there's no rain on the schedule. You just never know. So I'm going to work into the night to get this baled and stacked, and then shoved into the cupboard where we're going to be storing it. So tomorrow, as I say, plan of action for tomorrow is to do the corn. We'll seed field 43 with some OSR. We'll get this field cultivated and seeded as well. We'll try and get started on the soybean and see where we go from there. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll see you again with another episode of Lone Oak Farm very soon.